You have just gone through a breakup and you are scouring the internet for how to heal, what to do. You're probably trying to decipher and figure out how your ex is feeling, why they dumped you, why it came out of the blue, and you are just scrambling. Well, in this video, I'm going to go over 7 common mistakes that people do after a breakup and what not to do, basically, and maybe some reasons or things you can do instead, and really explain why these are so unhelpful and the result of what's going to happen if you continue to make these mistakes. So if you're new here, my name is Dr. Lilli. I am a mindset and relationship coach, so I help you heal from breakups and toxic relationships. So we will get started with the 7 mistakes. Oh, I do want to mention to stay until the end because I think that they get successively better or more important the further along we go. So make sure you're staying till the 7th, the 7th mistake. And also, I'm live here on TikTok as well. So if you all have any questions, make sure to put them in the chat. I will get to them either after I go through all of the mistakes or somewhere in the middle. We'll check through. So I just want to say hi to everybody here. Hi, Kaz, Ali, DC, For Madre, Miscellaneous Mayhem, Talib, Win, Love and Light. So excited for you to be here. And let's start with the very first mistake that a lot of people make after getting out of a breakup. And that is they start to date somebody new right away. And keep this in mind because if you're the one that got broken up with and you notice that your ex has started to date somebody new right away, this also applies to them. So when somebody gets into a new relationship or starts seeing somebody new very quickly after a long-term relationship or even a short-term relationship, but they haven't given themselves time to heal and reflect, say they even got together with this person within a week of the breakup, this is a clear sign that they're actually not emotionally available and they're avoiding their emotions. They're avoiding the pain, or if they're not experiencing pain right now, they're allowing themselves to skip ahead and just start seeing somebody new and skip the whole reflection part, skip the whole accountability, skip learning the lessons that they needed to take from this relationship, and they're deciding to ignore everything, pretend like it didn't happen so that they don't have to take accountability, they don't have to look at themselves, and they don't have to see the parts of them that they don't want to see. So let me pause this real quick. My fan is like kind of loud right now. So this is a super common mistake. And if you have done this as well, it's okay because a lot of people teach, even the other coaches on the internet that are maybe based in more toxic methods of attraction and dating, is that they'll say the best way to get over somebody is to be with somebody else, get under somebody else, or just go date other people. And the problem with that is that it's a distraction. It doesn't actually help you heal from the breakup. It's just pulling your attention away from the pain and trying to mask it with another person. And my guess is right now, because you're going through so much pain and heartache about this other person, you've probably put them on a pedestal, which means that you're seeing them in this beautiful white golden light and you think that they're better than you. You probably think that they are maybe the most amazing person that you've ever been with or will ever be with. You're telling yourself that you will never be loved by that kind of person again, or feel so much love again, or feel so much love toward anybody else again. And you're also going out to date other people to distract yourself from the pain. And so what's happening when you put them on a pedestal and you're going to date other people is that you're also going to then be comparing other people to your ex, and anybody else that you meet is never going to meet up to where you've put your ex because they are now on this pedestal. So it really doesn't help you to, one, avoid your emotions by dating other people, sleeping with other people, getting into a relationship super quickly. And it's not fair to the other person to be used in order to mask the pain that you're going through or be a distraction for you. And it's also not fair to them to have to be compared unknowingly to somebody else, to your ex, because you're not fully over your ex. and you can't use other people in order to help you heal. If that's something that you're doing, you have to look inward and reflect on yourself that maybe you're not as emotionally available or as emotionally ready for a relationship as you think you are if you're not able to regulate your own emotions and to look within and to ask yourself, what am I trying to avoid here? If you don't have that awareness around your own emotional presence, then maybe there is more work that you need to do than you even realize. A lot of people like to blame their ex for everything that happened and say, oh, they were so emotionally unavailable, they were avoidant, they couldn't show up to the relationship. But if you also don't know how to be alone and you don't know how to handle your own emotions, that is a reflection of the emotional state that you're in or your level of emotional availability too. And if you want to attract a partner who is emotionally available, who does know how to handle their emotions, who knows how to handle your emotions, then you need to also be able to do that for yourself. Because if you continue to not be able to face yourself, then you will never grow, and you're going to continue to attract other people who mirror that same lack of emotional unavailability back to you. And most often, this shows up in an anxious avoidant dynamic. And most likely, I'm guessing that you have more of an anxious attachment style, and the person that you are dating has more of an avoidant attachment style. And it's very easy to, as an anxious type, to look at an avoidant and see all the ways that they ran away and couldn't show up for the relationship or show up in conflict or try to repair, and say that they were emotionally unavailable because they shut down or they discarded you, when really their level of avoidance is a mirror to you of something that you need to heal within yourself. So, number one mistake is trying to use other people to cover up your own emotions right now, trying to date somebody new too quickly. Number two is trying to stay friends with your ex. I will say, at least trying to stay friends with them too soon. I think there is some nuance to being friends with an ex, especially if you maybe work together or you're in the same social circle or something like that. It makes it a little more difficult or complicated to not be friends or not be around each other or not interact with each other. And being a true friend versus being cordial versus being like acquaintances is very different. But if you've been broken up with and you're trying to heal from the breakup, but you also don't want to lose this person from your life, you might offer friendship or they might offer friendship, and you want to take it because you don't want to let go of them. The problem with that is that it's going to make it so much harder for you to heal and for you to move forward. And if they're the one offering friendship and they're the one that broke up with you, what that is telling me and what it should be telling you is that they want access to you and your energy, and they want your presence and all of the benefits of having you in their life without respecting the emotional journey that you have to go through, and without respecting your desires, because you probably wanted to stay in a relationship with them. You probably have a lot of feelings for them still. And if they're trying to jump into a friendship too quickly, it shows that they don't have enough empathy or compassion for where you are in your journey in processing this breakup. And they want to benefit from your presence without the consequences of being somewhat responsible, or at least a factor in the pain that you're going through. And staying friends with them is just going to make it harder for you, at least if you're trying to become friends right away. It's going to make it so much harder for you to move on. And you probably think that by keeping them around, trying to be friends, that maybe they'll want to come back to you. Maybe they want to get back into a relationship with you. Maybe they'll see how great you are and the pressure will be off of them. And they'll say, you know what? I do miss having them in my life. You know, we actually have a great relationship. The problem is that that's not usually what happens, because they're, again, getting all of the benefits of having you around, having you in their life, without the additional commitment of being in a committed relationship. So they're not missing anything. And so if there is not the loss, the pain of not being in a relationship with you, then why would they change anything to be committed to you then? Because they're getting everything they want already. Especially because I know it's so common for people to break up and then kind of just pretend like you're still in a relationship, but without the label. I've been there too, where you're kind of doing all the relationship things and you try to basically delude yourself into thinking, you know what, this is basically the same thing. I can be happy just as I am. Like, we're doing all this stuff. I get access to this person. We get to have fun. We get to have experiences. If they need to call it a friendship, that's okay. I'll call it a relationship in my head, and I'll be happy because I still have them in my life. And we'll just kind of live in these two separate worlds, and that's okay. And you accept that they can be around, but it's not in the capacity that you really want. But you're pretending like you're okay with it. But deep down, you know that you want the commitment, you want to be in a relationship, and you think that this pseudo relationship is going to suffice for you. But you deserve so much more. You deserve somebody that wants to be with you, because as long as they believe that it's just a friendship and you're not committed to each other, then that gives them the freedom to do whatever they want. You technically have the freedom to do whatever you want, but you know you're not going to do that because you're still emotionally attached to them. So they get to do what they want, you get to do what you want, but not really at the same time. You're just settling for having them around because it gives you some sort of comfort inside. It gives you some sort of validation that makes the breakup not so hard. The problem is that you're going to continue having feelings for them. They're not going to have feelings for you. They're not going to get the opportunity to miss you. And neither of you, well, you definitely won't get what you want. They might get a semblance of what they want because they don't really want a relationship right now. So you don't get what you want. They get what they want. And it just makes it so much harder for you. And eventually you're going to see that being friends with them hurts too much, and you're going to have to walk away. And what you've done is you've just prolonged the amount of time it takes to actually get over them, because you had the original breakup and now you're in this pseudo relationship, and then you have to have a real breakup, and it's the real decision of, okay, can I maintain this type of relationship or not? And now I have to let go, and now you're 6 months down the line and finally having to grieve the actual relationship. So trying to be friends too soon, or being pseudo friends in a pseudo relationship, I just made up that term. As far as like, I don't know if there's a real term for this, but it is basically a pseudo friendship or pseudo relationship. That just prevents you from healing. And it's basically kind of like opening a wound and then never giving it the opportunity to heal. Okay. Oh, and this is why I always recommend, if you've just gone through a breakup, to go no contact. I have a free no contact survival guide. It's 7 easy steps to stop talking to your ex for good. It's linked on my page. It's linked in the description here. It has a bunch of different tools to use when you want to reach out to them. You don't know what to do. You're just in that okay, I'm back on the live. Hopefully there's audio again. I tried to adjust that setting, my TikTok timer, but it doesn't always work. Okay. So the question was, how long does it take to heal? That depends. You can make significant leaps and bounds in healing. It just depends on if you're doing the right steps to heal, if you are avoiding your feelings, avoiding your emotions, if you are really doing the right things to actually heal or not. And attract somebody new, it can be fast. You can attract somebody new who's not emotionally avoidant fairly quickly. It just depends on where you are. And the most important thing is actually your subconscious and your nervous system. Is it ready for somebody who is secure? Or is it ready for somebody who's actually willing to show up for the relationship? That's the big question that you have to ask. Because what will happen is that if you attract somebody like that into your life and into, please tell me if you guys can't hear me again. If you attract somebody that is healthy, that can show up to the relationship, is emotionally available, and you're not ready for it, your subconscious thinks, I'm unworthy of this, or your nervous system feels unsafe, it feels chaotic, you can't handle the peace and security of a healthy partner that can actually show up for you, then you will self-sabotage. So it really depends on you. I would say that working with somebody like a coach like myself, I can help guide you there a lot more quickly, a lot more efficiently than if you try to do it on your own. I tried for many years and continued to repeat the same patterns until I actually got to the root of what was driving all of my behavior, which was the subconscious, the limiting beliefs that I had, the nervous system blocks. And that's when things shifted. But it took me years to figure that out. So now I'm giving that to you. And I hope that you're learning from this material. But what you also have to do, where I got stuck to, hi Elena, is that I got stuck in the loop of just learning about things. So this is also called intellectualizing your emotions, where maybe you understand why somebody is the way they are, why you are the way you are, what happened in your past experiences that made you that way. You understand why an avoidant is avoidant, and you're learning all the things about them. But if you're not putting that into practice, if you're not embodying being a healthy, secure partner yourself, then you're not going to make the actual necessary changes to stop attracting avoidant people, to have a healthy, secure partnership, to become secure in yourself, because all you're doing is learning about how to, about why you are the way you are, or maybe you're even learning how to be secure, but you're not putting it into practice. And putting it into practice is where you actually heal and make changes in your love life. Because anybody can learn how to, like, let's say, build a house. Maybe that's a bad example, but actually like cutting wood and hammering. Okay, I don't know how to build a house, so this is a bad example. But when anyone can learn the basics of how to play violin. This is good because I actually played violin. Anyone can learn like how to read music. That's great. Anyone can learn where to put your fingers on an instrument, but it's not until you put your hands on a violin, you put the bow to the strings, that you're actually going to see how good you are. Because it looks easy from the outside. You can learn how to do all the things. You can learn the technique, but getting it in your body, getting it in your nervous system, making it working memory or muscle memory is different. And you have to make showing up healthy and secure in love, dating, relationships a part of your muscle memory, a part of your inner being and your subconscious and your nervous system and what it's wired for. Because right now, your nervous system and subconscious is wired for unhealthy love, toxic love, abusive love, which is not even love. But that's what it's wired for. And so you have to change the wiring of your subconscious and your nervous system. Okay, that was a great little intermission. Now let's get back to the 7 common mistakes that happen after a breakup. So number 4 is that you start to make up stories about your ex. And when you make up these stories, you're always putting your ex in the best light, best view. You're putting them on a pedestal. Maybe not 100% of the time, but the stories that really hurt and really stick in your mind are the ones where you've made your ex this idealized, perfect person. They're up on a pedestal, and you're telling yourself they've moved on, they don't care about me, they don't hurt, they don't think about me at all. And when you tell yourself those stories, 1, it only hurts you, and 2, it doesn't help you move forward. It keeps you stuck in the past. It keeps you stuck dwelling on that person. And so some part of you likes the pain. Some part of you likes to believe that you are the victim. Some part of you likes to believe that they are better than you. That's why you keep telling your story that they don't care about you, that you meant nothing to them, and repeating all of these negative beliefs and stories that you have actually no idea about, because some part of you believes it and wants it to be true. Okay, I see some questions in the chat. I will get back to them in a minute. So this could also be that, oh, they moved on, they don't care about me, they're with somebody else, and they think this other person is so amazing, so much better than me, I meant nothing to them. And those stories, again, do nothing to help you move forward. They keep you stuck in the past and they keep you hurting, and it's because some masochistic part of you actually likes the pain. And that part of you is the part that learned as a child that you weren't lovable, that you had to earn love, that nobody would love you exactly for who you are. And those are the parts that keep you also obsessed with partners that never showed up for you, partners that don't treat you right. It keeps you attached to the ones that actually hurt you rather than the people that showed up for you and showed up in the best way and loved you for exactly as you are. Because you want to prove, you one, believe that you have to prove that you're worthy of love, and two, you want to finally be able to prove that you are. And your subconscious doesn't believe that anybody can love you exactly as you are, even when you might have experiences with other people that do love you and care for you exactly as you are. You reject that. You don't see it as legitimate or valid or real. Maybe you even make up stories that they were lying or just pretending, because your subconscious cannot accept that as a truth, because it has held on to this belief that you have to earn and prove your worth. And so it will always go to the person that is forcing you, in a way, forcing you to have to do that, because they won't show up for you. And so they are the only way for you to change that story or beat that story. That's what your subconscious believes, at least, that is the person that you have to win over. When really, you can change the story on your own by deciding, not just in your mind, but it starts partially within your mind, that you're not going to go after somebody who is running away from you, somebody that doesn't want to be with you, somebody who is not fully choosing you. You're going to only accept love that actually shows up for you, that actually chooses you, love that you get to attract to you, rather than love that you have to chase all the time. And that's when you start shifting the pattern. That's when you start shifting the belief and you start accepting the love from the people that actually can show up for you. Okay, and number 5. Oh, this is a big one. This is so important. A lot of people only try to heal from breakups in their head, in their mind. This is what I was talking about earlier with like the intellectualization of your emotions. I've had so many people comment on my TikTok videos and even message me in DMs, really kind of looking for this quick fix, having maybe one mindset shift, which is powerful, but thinking that that's all you need to change and heal. Because what's really underneath all of this pain and what's driving all the behavior are your subconscious beliefs. It's your nervous system that's wired for chaos rather than calm. And so a lot of people only try to heal in their head. They try to just think about how this person was so bad and now we're going to move forward mentally. And they never actually feel in their body the emotions that are coming up from the relationship and from the breakup. And so it gets stuck with inside of you That's why you might move on to another relationship and have the same fear or traumas that maybe this person is going to lie to you or this person is going to cheat on you, and you have these trust issues from the past because you were never able to let go. It wasn't simply because you had that past experience, but it was because that past experience got stored in your body and you didn't create the safety and trust you need within yourself to move on. You instead created a story, and your body started to hold on to this emotion. And now maybe you've moved on and you're dating other people and you're in a new relationship, but you haven't let go of the past. And so when you only try to heal from the mind, when you try to distract yourself with other people or other things, or the next point kind of goes into this too, or what else? Those are the main things. When you try to read all the self-help, listen to all the podcasts, the YouTube videos, the TikToks, and heal by changing just your mind, you won't ever fully heal. This is why also, like, the mind and the body are connected. So if you've been in a toxic relationship and maybe you're going through a breakup, and could have started in the relationship, but your hair starts to fall out. You start to get like stomach issues for no reason. You have like back pain or knee pain. You have intense anxiety. It's because your mind and your body are connected, and you cannot heal one without the other. And most of the time, what I see in my practice as a doctor and what I see with my clients, my coaching clients, is that the body is the best place to start with healing. And you can never separate the mind from the body because it is all connected. It's connected through your nervous system. It's connected through your neurons. And this is why, like, before you're going to go to a big event, before you're going to public speak, when you're thinking about traumatic situations from the past, you feel it in your body. You might feel the tension in your shoulders or the heaviness in the chest. But we are so disconnected from our bodies today that we try to move forward just in our mind. And that just separates us further. And that's why we continue to repeat the same patterns again and again. That's why we continue to choose people who don't choose us. And we say, this is evidence that I'm unlovable. This is evidence that nobody wants a real relationship. This is evidence that nobody takes love seriously, or that all men cheat, all women cheat. But it's actually because your subconscious and your nervous system are wired to those experiences. You haven't processed them. You haven't let them go. And so you're bringing all this trauma and baggage from the past into your future. And you're also using that to filter out and actually find the people that are going to confirm and replay this story to you. And it's going to continue to repeat in your life until you finally address it. Okay? And number 6, this ties into what I was just saying, is that another huge myth and mistake that people make after a breakup is that they believe that time will heal all wounds. Time will heal everything. Time heals nothing. Time makes the pain a little bit lessened. It starts to dull because you've distracted yourself, but it never actually heals the wound. Which is why what I was just saying, you can carry all of that baggage from the past into your future relationships, your future dating experiences, and why you continue to date the same people, because you actually never healed the wound. And the wound is not even, didn't start from that relationship most of the time. Relationships can give us new wounds, but the deeper wounds, the subconscious beliefs, typically come from our childhood, come from those first 7 years of our life, where at some point we learned that we weren't good enough, that love was an achievement, that we have to compete for love or prove ourselves. That is the wound that has to be healed. Time doesn't heal that. And you are maybe in your 20s, 30s, all the way up to your 60s or 70s, maybe even older. I've had clients in their 60s. And there are people I see all of the time. People commenting, sharing in different public forums about how they're like 63, 65, 72, and all they've been with are toxic partners, all they've been with are avoidant people. If time healed wounds, by the time we were 40, 50, 60 seniors, we would be over this. We wouldn't be continuing to repeat the same patterns. We wouldn't continue the same cycles of dating emotionally unavailable people, or people that hurt us, or people that we feel we have to self-abandon for. And that's because we've been sold this lie that time heals, and time doesn't actually heal. Number 7. This is also tied to the other two. You only heal from the immediate pain of the breakup, not everything that led up to it or got triggered in it. So again, these are all within the same theme, and it's because they're so important, and so many people make this mistake and fall into this trap. And so they're all separate, but they're all tied together. So you only heal from the immediate pain of the breakup. You go through that mindset shift and you're like, oh yeah, I don't want this person. And you're like, you know what? I'm good. But you never address the underlying cause. You never address the actual wounds that were triggered. You don't give yourself the time to reflect. Maybe you recognize, oh yeah, I made the mistake here. I made a mistake there. I could have shown up differently. I need to learn how to communicate better. And you realize that, okay, these are lessons I can learn or take. Maybe you don't even take the lesson. Maybe you just chalk it up to, oh, they were emotionally unavailable. Now I got to go find someone emotionally available. And you never reflect on yourself. But let's say you take the lesson and you're like, I need to communicate better. I need to express my feelings. I need to listen to them better. And you say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that the next time I'm in a relationship or dating somebody. And then you get in a relationship or you're dating somebody new and a conflict arises. And what happens is you're triggered. It feels like they're attacking you. It feels like they're going to leave you or abandon you. And suddenly you've shifted back into the old pattern. You've totally forgotten the things that you said you were going to do. You totally forgot that you said you were going to listen and hear them out, or express your feelings and your needs more, because your nervous system is now shocked. You've been triggered. You're activated. You're in this state of anxiety. For somebody that has more of an anxious attachment, it's going to feel like anxiety and needing closeness and fearing that abandonment. For somebody that has more of an avoidance style, it's going to feel overwhelming, and I need to shut down, and I need to leave, and I need to run away, or I need to fight back and get defensive. And that's because the patterns that are within you are patterned into your nervous system. They're patterned into your amygdala, which is the center of your brain that's responsible for that fear response. When you feel attacked in a relationship or unsafe, it's your amygdala that's driving you, especially depending on the level of attack or feeling unsafe. That's what drives your patterns. And if you never learned how to regulate your nervous system, if you never learned how to actually rewire and feel calm and safe in conflict, then you're going to revert back to your old patterns. And that could even show up in abusive type situations. If somebody is wanting to physically harm you or physically threaten you, naturally you're going to go into that fight or flight state because you're actually in physical danger. But what will happen is that you could be triggered if you didn't rewire your nervous system and subconscious. You start to believe that maybe you deserve that, or maybe that's normal, or, excuse the behavior. Because you never learned that you actually deserve more, and you never learned that love doesn't feel unsafe. It doesn't feel threatening. And so again, you accept the mistreatment and abuse that they show up with. So it doesn't just show up in that acute moment of conflict. It shows up in how you respond to it and what you decide to do as a result of any circumstances that are coming up in your relationship. So if you just change in your head, if you address the immediate pain of the heartache and heartbreak, you're not actually getting to the root, and you're going to continue to repeat the same patterns in this relationship or others. And this is also why wanting that person to come back, wanting your ex to come back, once they do come back, if nobody has changed, maybe you've done some reflection, but if you haven't rewired yourself, nothing's going to change. And if they haven't changed, then getting them back is just going to repeat the same patterns again. Even if they have every intention to change, even if they've said, I've changed, I've worked on myself, especially women, we've heard that so many times. I'm sure there's a lot of men that have heard that too. Anybody in the dating world that has had an ex come back and said that they changed, and maybe they changed for a little bit, but then they revert right back to their old ways. And that's because they had the intention to change. They changed in their head, in their mind, on a conscious level, but they didn't actually change on a subconscious and nervous system level. And so the pattern repeats, and you probably end up breaking up again because the same issues arose, the same way of dealing with conflict arose. And what can happen, what is possible, is you get back together and you both have the intention to heal and do better. And you're not perfect. You don't have to be perfect to be in a relationship. You don't have to be perfect to get back together. But it will take intentional work, effort, and really guidance is going to be the best thing. If both people want the relationship to work out, having somebody to guide you and see your blind spots and help guide you through that is going to help ensure that this is going to have the best chances of success in your relationship, rather than just trying to fumble around and do it all yourself, because that's what you've done your whole life. It's what you've done with them before. And you're probably missing something. You're probably going to repeat the same mistake again. It's like when you're trying something new, some sort of class, and you think you're doing everything right, and then you have the instructor or teacher look at it or watch you do it, and they're like, oh yeah, adjust this, adjust that, adjust this. And you're like, oh my gosh, I was doing it completely wrong. This is speaking from my experience in dance. Sometimes I learn a new move and I'm like, oh yeah, this is easy, I got this. And then I have the instructor watch and they're like, oh, you're not quite doing that right. And I had no idea. So sometimes you just need that external guidance and the third party perspective and objective view. Okay, let me check the chat for some questions here because I do see some messages. Miscellaneous Mayhem says, anyone can learn the technique, but putting it into practice is different until it becomes the norm. Yes, definitely. Whoa, did I just skip to the bottom? Let me look back. I'm going to go backwards because I skipped to the bottom on accident. Seems like self-wired exposure therapy. It can be. It's kind of similar to that somebody with the name of S. It is kind of like that. There are parts of it that are going to be self-wired exposure therapy, but you have to learn how to expose yourself to those triggers in a healthy way and how to move through them. Otherwise, you're just going to keep triggering yourself. You're just going to keep having the same response, and you could accidentally also trigger yourself too far. All those things. Dorman, you are now qualified to be one of my many wives. Okay, no thank you. I don't know. Ivan Alvarado, I just got out of a 6-year relationship. I am so sorry. It's so hard to get out of such a long-term relationship. And I am glad you're here and learning about what not to do, and hopefully you can learn more about what you can do from my page, and I have more on my YouTube. Anyone can learn. Okay, I think it said I had so many messages, but it's mostly about people that are joining and sending things. Ventura, thank you. It says you're doing awesome, Dr. Lilli. Okay, well, I will give it just a little more. If you have any other last minute questions here, feel free to leave them in the chat. Otherwise, I will see you all next week. It's so fun doing these lives. I only started them not too long ago, but I hope you all got something from this. And I will be posting the recording on my YouTube, so check that out if you want more personalized coaching, guidance, to really rewire the subconscious and the nervous system and help you feel like you're ready and worthy and deserving of love, because you are. Please reach out. I have a coaching application that is linked on my page. Go complete that and we can do a free consultation. And yes, Goku says, yeah, I want my power. Yes, you can have it. You are powerful. You are truly the most powerful person in your life, in your world. You have the power to create your own reality and to attract what you want. You don't have to be a victim of your circumstances or yourself. You can't control anybody outside of you, but you can control yourself. And addressing yourself, controlling what you can control, is extremely powerful. Goku says, wow, Super Saiyan power. I don't know what that means. But awesome. Okay. I will see you all next week, and I hope you have a lovely weekend. Oh, wait, let me check. Miss Lilli Mayhem says, once you identify your triggers, and how do you teach your nervous system not to react if it by touch? So are you saying that the trigger is being touched by somebody? Thank you all for the likes too. Hi, Allison. If you're saying the trigger is being touched by somebody, there's a lot of ways that you can do that. I have some tools that I use one-on-one with clients. I would say the most effective is going to be working with a coach practitioner, somebody that is trained in these kind of techniques. If you have a significant trauma, then I would use something like that, if that's what you're asking. If it's touch, you can do kind of slow exposure therapy. It really depends on what it is that you want to address. UVF Bucky says, at some point we are all settling with someone, or is there more to creating a relationship? Oh my goodness, that is a great question. Yes. There is so much more to creating a relationship. You don't have to settle with somebody. You can have everything that you desire. And that's not to say that somebody is going to be a 100% perfect person. There are always going to be things that we as humans uniquely have. Like maybe you hate when people run the water while they brush their teeth. This is such a random one. But your partner does that and that bugs you, and they would be more perfect if they didn't do that. Okay. Well, okay, yes, that's kind of a waste of water, to be honest. That's my opinion. But that's a small thing to settle on. So there are going to be some things that just aren't perfect, but that doesn't mean you're settling. So it's important to get really clear about the person that you are wanting to attract in. And you have to think about what this idea of settling really is and what that means. And why do you feel like you need to settle or have to settle? There is so much more to creating relationships, and I would recommend surrounding yourself by people that truly are in healthy, thriving relationships. Some relationships, yes, can maybe look like they're perfect on the outside, but not actually be. But expose yourself to people that have a healthy mindset around love and relationships, and you will see that it exists. And if you can see that it exists in those around you, you also know that it's possible for you, because you're not unique in that sense in which you can't have it. You have the desire for it. If you have everything that you need to bring to a partnership, let's say you show up as an extremely loving person and you just want to show up for your partner, but you tend to attract people that take advantage of you, use you, that kind of thing. Well, you have to, one, look at yourself and see why or in what ways am I allowing that? Where do I not have strong enough boundaries that are attracting that kind of person into my life? And then two, you also then have evidence that yes, it is possible to be a good partner, because you bring all those loving, kind, respectful qualities to somebody else. So if you exist, then somebody else exists. But I also want you to reflect on the idea of maybe being unboundaried or overly giving, because a lot of people here, I'm guessing, tend to be those that will self-abandon or more anxiously attached in relationships and will brush their needs aside in order to take care of their partner. And that's not healthy. So you need a healthy balance of that. Goku says, we've been a slave to our own mind for the longest. Yes, that is so true. You've created a matrix within your mind subconsciously because you had to as a child, from a need to survive, from a need to not be abandoned. And you create all these rules and blocks and walls around what you can do or how you can show up or what you can attract into your life. And that is keeping you stuck in everything that you've been experiencing because you don't believe that you are worthy of more. You don't believe that more is out there. So I like to think of it as like breaking out of your own matrix. And when you do, when you start to break out, oh my gosh, it's the most freeing thing ever. Eureka says, is compatibility, values, goals, morals, etc. something I could adopt from another person? Adopt from another person. Can your values, goals, morals change? Yes, they can change. Can you adopt them from another person is an interesting question. I don't fully understand what you mean from that. Like, they can be influenced by another person, yes. And I would say it depends on whether, do you want to allow yourself to adopt another person's values, goals, morals? Are you trying to adopt them because you don't have your own already? That's the question that I think is very important in order to answer your question. Eureka also asks, also, what are some boundaries should I establish for myself if my partner is avoidant? So I can't tell you your boundaries. There are going to be some standard ones around communication, showing up to the relationship, how you handle, it's really about communication and emotions with avoidance, not allowing yourself or your emotions to be disregarded or invalidated, or gaslit. Those are some very basic boundaries. But I want to invite you to ask yourself what feels good and right for you. And start there. Now, I would recommend maybe if you have some specific ones that you're toying with, you can put them here in the chat or work with myself or somebody else like as a coach to identify, are these boundaries bare minimum? Are they strong enough? Are they too weak? Should they be stronger? That kind of thing. Because if you tend to be anxiously attached or tend to self-abandon, then maybe your boundaries are actually too weak. And maybe you don't even fully trust that you're allowed to have boundaries or that you'll uphold them or that you can have strong boundaries. Something that comes up is for myself, and something that I'm still working on for myself, is having boundaries and enforcing them and not feeling like I'm responsible for how the other person feels or reacts in response to those boundaries. Because boundaries are there to protect you and give you guidance and give the other person guidance around what is okay and acceptable to be in your life and have presence in your life. Boundaries are important. They don't make you mean. They don't make you a bad person. They actually make you a stronger person. They allow you to be more open and loving because you have those boundaries. And they also allow you to extend more love to yourself. Boundaries are an act of self-love. Okay, what is your opinion? This is user with numbers. What is your opinion on dealing with an avoidant who I care about? That really depends. I don't know what's happening, but that really depends. Here's what I have to say in short, because there's no more details on that, is that you can love somebody from afar. You can love somebody and let them go. You can love somebody and have boundaries and be detached. You don't have to keep them in your life. You don't have to save them. You don't have to fix them. You shouldn't fix them. You can't fix them. So you can love them and care for them without having to do all of those things that I just listed, and without keeping them in your life or keeping a door open for them. Silence is key says, why I say that. I don't know what you are referring to. UVF Bucky says, last question. Are we all trying to shift towards a secure attachment type or stay solidified in our own type, that is, anxious or avoidant? Yes, great question. The ideal is to become securely attached. There is some discrepancy. I think it is possible to become securely attached with maybe a tendency towards going more of whatever attachment style you originally started with, but I do believe that you can actually fully heal your attachment style and become securely attached. So yes, the ideal is to become securely attached, because when you have a secure attachment style, you show up more confidently and authentically in your relationship, and you honor yourself more and you honor your partner more. Anxious avoidant, or the combination, the anxious avoidant or fearful avoidant, they're all just trauma responses. They are a way that we learned to attach to people and love people in order to keep ourselves safe. But when we create that safety and security within ourselves, and we don't rely on other people to meet that, then we've reached a secure attachment style. Then we can love from a secure place, and that's when we can show up in a healthier way for a more lasting and healthy relationship. So yes, I would say that the ideal is to become more secure, and it's not about fixing yourself. It's not about changing yourself. It's about taking off the layers and actually honoring who you are, your boundaries, your needs, your emotions. Because you started off as a beautiful baby with a secure attachment style until you started receiving certain responses and experiences from your environment, from your caregivers, from other people in your life that started to shift the way you think about yourself. And that's when you start to get insecure attachment style patterns. But it is possible to shift into a more secure style, into a secure style. That's why I say that I've healed my own anxious attachment and have become secure myself. Okay. Imagine I'm saying, okay, Ollie, so if you set boundaries and the other person don't agree, should you walk away? Yes. Nobody gets to argue with your boundaries. Your boundaries are your boundaries. So let's say certain boundaries don't always have to mean that you leave the relationship or you leave the person. A boundary can be that you won't converse with somebody if they're yelling at you. And if they yell at you, then you're going to leave the conversation, leave the room, until you can agree to have a civil conversation at a normal volume. So it doesn't mean that you have to totally leave the person, but you decide what you are available and not available for in order to protect your peace. For me, if somebody's yelling at me, that is very disorienting, dysregulating to my nervous system. I can't think properly. We're both going to be in that fight or flight mode. If they're yelling, they're probably already in a fight or flight mode. And so you really can't get anything done anyways. Like, you can't have a healthy communication in that way. So your boundary doesn't have to be leaving the relationship. It just has some sort of consequence, or a effect, result, if you don't like the word consequence, but some sort of response or action that you're then going to take as a result of the boundary not being respected. Eureka says, thank you for the insight. I will consider signing up for your program. Wonderful. Oh, thank you. UVF Bucky says her program is great. User says, thanks. Nami says, what are your earrings? This is what they are. I think it's like sterling silver with some like turquoise. I don't know. They were a gift. They were a gift, so I don't really know what they are. Silence is Key says, no, because they call it hell. but in reality, they just want to speed date for them. I think they're talking about people with avoidant attachment styles. I'm not really entirely sure. Goku says, I reach my higher self, just quitting my ego now. It stay quiet. Good. Learning to work with your ego and regulate and not let your ego drive you is generally a very healthy thing to do. Silence is key. You get it. Like, for example, it's not just the doctor, and those are literally just children, the teachers, the priests. They say, I don't know who they're having a conversation with, but really they're just watching. Interesting. I don't know who they're having a conversation with, but I think we'll wrap up today because it has been a nice long live on YouTube now, over an hour. So thank you all so much for your questions. I will be live again next week. Maybe I'll pop on some other time as well. But it was so wonderful. Thank you, UVF Bucky. Thank you, Miscellaneous Mayhem. And have a great weekend. I will see you all next week.